Hello, everyone. It's Catherine Michelle, and Sophia's with me again today.
Hi, everybody.
And what we're going to bring you this time is a presentation on the footprints. Sophia has put a lot of work into this presentation, and I'm sure you guys are going to really gain a lot of info, and you're going to walk away feeling the way we do about these prints. It's a fantastic presentation.
Good work on it too. So
yeah, you did most of it. No, she did most of it on this one. I've done work on this subject before, and I've done videos on this, but on this one, 99% of everything you see is everything she's done, and believe me, you're going to really come away with a whole new understanding and a different viewpoint, maybe not, on what these prints really are. So, yeah, that's right. I need to share the screen so you guys can see it. That would be helpful. Okay, and so I'm going to really shrink us down here to keep us out of the way. And here we go. Are you seeing it on your side?
I am.
Okay. So whenever you're ready.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting on you. You can go ahead and start if you want.
Well,
there's apparent bloody footprints for the first slide, and then the opening statement. During this video, Catherine and I will be pointing out some factual artifacts from the crime scene that have to do with the blood, the apparent bloody footprints, item 14 and item 15. These are the ones that are found over near the island area on the wooden floor. We have been working on these projects for over a year now. Both of us, on our own, have been studying the crime scene photos and learning from the books, lectures, and videos for quite some time. I've lost count of the amount of hours that we have invested into this particular project, and we are happy to present it to you tonight. Catherine and I would like to state that we are not, nor are we trying to attack any investigating agencies in our presentation. We are only here to show you the facts, and that's it. We don't have all the answers. We wish that we did, but we can show you what we have learned and how it applies to this case. Any one of you could be watching this, any one of you who are watching this can do exactly what we have done. We would gladly welcome you to do so also.
Can I add just a little bit there?
Sure.
Just one thing. I really want to reiterate what Sophia just said. When we do these, we're not attacking anybody, and and nothing like that. However, when we were given this information, this so-called evidence that was supposed to be used to convict or convince them that they could convict David and say he did this, we have tons of questions and things don't make sense. So all we're doing is we are taking this so-called evidence and we are looking at it under a microscope, so to speak. But it's not our intention to attack anyone. However, we will call into question what was decided based on the evidence that they have presented to us. And
it's faulty, and
yes.
We'll show you why it's faulty. And it wasn't until we did the process of elimination during this that it was very clear that it was extremely faulty evidence, or quote-unquote evidence.
Yeah. Okay. And we're going to continue.
Yeah. We're not being told the entire story of what really happened within the Crowley home before they met their fates. Since we are discussing blood, human tissue, and other explicit content, we would like to ask that the little ears leave the room now. This is so that It's from a protection. It's just not appropriate conversations for them. And this is definitely a viewer discretion type video. If you're sensitive to this type of topic, you might want to turn off the video at this moment. And if not, feel free to ask any questions that you have at the end, and we'll be happy to answer them. We'll be happy to show you exactly what we did in this video so that you can try your own recreations and experiments. And that's about it.
Okay, there we go. Now, we're on the next slide. Here you go.
Okay, the apparent bloody footprints, item 14 and item 15.
And you can see the blood on the floor.
This is the, after they sprayed the chemical on there, the BCA. Okay. And this is item 15. And the BCA DNA lab results came back. They indicated Cabell as the major profile. It does not match David or Ronnie, and there's no minor types. It's just her. And this is just basically information about the bloody footprints and how they were swabbed for DNA and where they were located. Below the iPhone on the floor were apparent bloody footprints. And that's what they basically say throughout the paperwork, is apparent.
And one thing we would like to also point out here, if you look right below where you see footprints highlighted, because it says below the iPhone on the floor were what appeared to be bloody footprints from bare feet. The only body on scene that was barefooted was the male body. That is not correct. Ronnie was also barefooted. Yes. So that was a mistake on their part.
Okay. Well, did you know that the apparent bloody footprints were measured in centimeters and millimeters? The large ruler is millimeters, and the small little tabs are centimeters.
These are centimeters?
Yes.
Millimeters.
And what we are seeing is not adult size.
Okay. And here you can tell that she's measuring what was quote unquote the hold on a second, let me get something here. She's measuring out. I'm trying to get us, I don't know if it'll let me make us any smaller. I don't think so, because now I have it in darn it. Okay, we'll do it this way. She's measuring out the quote-unquote toe, and this is how come she's able to say that this is not the size of an adult foot, because she measured every aspect of these prints.
Well, an adult male. It's not the size of an adult male.
Okay, thank you for correcting that.
Yes. And then we measured item 15. The reason why we didn't measure the other prints on the left side, right there where Catherine is moving the mouse, is because it's smeared, and we don't know exactly what that is. And so there was just no, I mean, we did measure it. There was no point in adding that to this.
Right,
and,
because it's clearly not a footprint. We don't know what it is.
So the inside width of this is 6 centimeters, which would be 60 millimeters, or 2.36 inches. And then the big digit was 9 centimeters, or 9 millimeters, or 3.54 inches. And then the pinky digit is 3.6 centimeters, or 36 millimeters, or, as you would say, 1.41 inches. And then the width was 1.4 centimeters, 14 millimeters, or 0.55 inches, like half an inch. So, and there's a point to this, and we'll show you in just a minute. So David assumed foot size, and I had to do several sizes because of his height and his weight. Google basically said that his shoe size could be between a 10.5 size men's to a 12.5 size men's. So his shoe size could have been anywhere between 23.3 centimeters width to 29.2 centimeters, 27.3 centimeters long to 29.2 centimeters long. And then the width size was 9.8 centimeters wide to 10.5 centimeters wide. And then the size charts are down here. I got his height and weight off of not only his driver's license, but his autopsy reports too. And then Google searches to get that information about the shoe sizes. And next slide.
Okay, and this isn't going to let me go back again, but oh, here, let me do this real quick.
Okay.
Because I think you stated in here, what was the measurements again?
For this one, the measurement
was 9 centimeters, right? Yeah, on this one. So the measurement, according to them, is 9 centimeters, but according to the charts, his would actually be larger. His foot would be larger, is what you're saying, by almost an entire centimeter.
Centimeters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anywhere from 1 to 2 centimeters it would be larger, 1 and 1.5 centimeters. So this is actually too small for him, for it to be his quote-unquote foot.
And as we go through the rest of the presentation, we'll explain exactly how we came to the conclusion, not only because of the measurement, but there was other things that we found later on that just totally ruled these prints out as an adult male's print. And it just, please continue to keep watching, because after Catherine's presentation, we'll go over that.
Yes. So again, up to this point, remember, they're measuring 9 centimeters, but if it was a true adult male, it should be almost 10 centimeters to almost 11 centimeters.
Yes.
So now we're going to go and show you. What I'm going to do with this next one is I have taken the photograph of David's foot from his journal page, because there's one photo that has the bottom of his foot. So we're going to take that, and we're going to take this print, and I'm going to lay it on top. And the only thing I'm going to adjust, I'm not tweaking it to make sure I can get it to fit. The only thing I'm going to adjust is the size to get it, to see if we can get it to match up with David's foot correctly. Now what you'll see is there may be some parts like, oh look, that fits, but we'll point to you out the rest. Here we go, where you'll see it doesn't fit. So here we go. And I think I'll stop sharing that so we can start sharing this. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Okay, can you see this? Is it visible on your side? All right. Okay. So what we can see here is I have 2 photos here. I have David's foot underneath, and then on top of it, I've just simply layered this photo. And all I'm doing is reducing the transparency so we can match up the so-called print. And as you can tell, it doesn't fit. If you can get these to kind of line up here, it doesn't match over here on the big toe. So here we go. Let me try to tweak it and see if we can't get it to fit, because if it fits, well, then there's a problem, right? We would have to say, oh wait, that is his foot. So hold on, bear with me as I tweak this a little. Okay, we know that didn't work. Okay, so let's make it a little bit bigger to try to size it correctly. Sorry, trying to do this with a mouse is not always easy. Okay, so if we do this to line up underneath with the bottom of his foot, you see what happens. All of a sudden, these go flying all off. This doesn't match up with the pinky toe. It still doesn't even match up with the foot. Because here is the print, but here is David's foot right here. So hopefully you can see where here's his foot here. So this should actually be up under here, and that is not working. So let's take this and see if we can't move it. Okay, so we're trying to get it to match up with the prints, and everything is just off kilter. So, but you'll see here where it kind of matches a little bit, although it's off up there. Let's get this print a little bit darker. You see it's still above the toe. You see David's toe here, the blood mark there, the blood mark there, and then this is way over to the one side of his foot. This whole part of his foot is not there, and here is where his skin is, the ball of his foot is, but the print is down here. And so you clearly see this does not match up. So let's shrink it down and see if we can get it to match again. So I think the best view we have, because we know we can't get the quote-unquote big toe to match, so let's work on that little toe and see what we got coming here. Okay, and we can almost get that matched up. Okay, see where we almost have it on the little toe, but would you guys notice a problem? We have a huge problem here. Okay, so that's not working. So let's see if we can't shrink it down to get the big toe now to fit. Little bits at a time. Okay, you look at that and go, oh look, it's on that toe, it's on that toe, well, it's still over the toe. It's on that toe, and look on this pinky toe. But again, here's David's foot right here. The print is here. It's too small for his foot. And now, for poops and giggles, I did it with a different foot. We have the same problem. It matches up about exactly the same. It doesn't fit. And this one was just a little bit easier for you to show you because of the coloring, not the coloring, the lighting was easier to see. But again, you see how this matches up on this foot as well? That matches there, that kind of matches there, that there, not quite on the pinky toe, but we have an issue with the big toe. And same thing here. It doesn't match. Here's the foot. This section should be over here, but it's not. David's foot, this section should be over here, but it's not. You can barely see it there. Bring it up a little bit more. This is the so-called print. Here's David's foot. And no matter how many times, and again, you can see how it kind of, oh look, it's there, and it's there, it's there, but it doesn't match, just like with this one. It's there, it's there, it's there, but it doesn't match. It's not David's footprint. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered everything.
Okay. Hopefully, because We've heard it said that someone said they could match up David's print. Well, you're watching right now. I have not adjusted anything. I could tweak this. I could stretch it. I could do all kinds of stuff if I wanted to make it fit. But this is simply a photo layered on top of another photo, and all I've done is alter the transparency so you can see how it sets on top of a photo of his real foot. And you can clearly see it doesn't match. Here's, again, last time, and then we're going to go off here. Here's the blood print. Here's David's foot. This is the contour of where his foot is. Here's the contour of the so-called blood print. It doesn't match, and it doesn't fit.
And this right here, with people saying that it matches David's foot and that they've been able to line it up, this is a very flawed theory, and we're about to point out exactly why. If they would have tried to recreate these prints on their own, they would have figured it out. But we'll go on.
Exactly. And here's what I want to show you before we go further. Is this photo right here. And this was the one that I took and I layered on top of the others. Sorry, I had the wrong one chosen. I need to get the clicker. If you notice here, these are two separate sections, and they're identical. I measured them. I took this section, and let me see if I can actually do that. Let me just try to get this. Do we have time for this?
Yes.
Okay, because if we don't have time, I'll just say, hey. Okay, so we're going to crop this new image. And so I'm going to select, okay, fine, yes, please. Copy that. And on here. Okay, so here's where we're at with this one. All I did, and you saw all I did was just copy this section right here. And now I want to show you something. Oops, I guess I copied it twice, so let's delete that duplicate. And let me get rid of the, bring down the transparency a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Oh, it's hard to see. Oh, I need to bring that up a little bit more because I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is the original photo. It's 100% clear. You can't see it, but as we bring it in, you can see where they're almost identical. They almost match identical. And a real foot doesn't do that. There's that one. There's that one. Bring it down a little bit more, transparent. And so it's almost like, oh, hold on, let me get it turned a little bit this way. It is like this was repeated. This part is what was used to create this part. They're almost exactly identical. I think I can I? So that's the one thing I wanted to show you guys. Oh, there we go. Ah, there we got it. Oh, I'm glad I waited a second more to bring that up. Okay. Okay, completely all the way transparent, all the way to there. Now, obviously, this is supposed to be the quote-unquote little toe over here. I didn't crop. I'm just looking at this part here, and it almost matches up perfectly. And so this is part of what Sophie and I are going to be showing you are the issues. So I'm going to stop sharing now, stop screen sharing. But and that's why I've always stated that this isn't a print. Whatever made this, it was done twice by the same object. Was it the heel of a hand? You can get pretty darn close. Was it something else? We just don't know. We don't know what it was. All we know is it's not foot.
You know, I tried doing that. I tried doing it with the heel of my hand and then putting it looks beyond fake. So for me, I could not recreate that. But I did some other things. If you'd like to go back to the slides. And,
sure.
We added some examples to this. So let's see.
Okay, so let me go back to the presentation from, I went to, okay.
Okay, so here's what a real bloody footprint would look like. These are examples from crime scenes.
And I like this one because this one does the silhouette, right?
Yeah.
But see how much of the ball of the foot is there. And the entire toes are in this print, and you don't see a duplicate pattern, and you see where the ball of the foot actually is.
Here you got more. And see, I could recreate these without an issue when I was doing my little experiment with my bare feet, and it just, see, here are mine. I did this.
And please notice how it actually stays connected. The toe is actually connected to the ball of the foot, and the prints on the floor are not like that. They're completely separate. And notice how it is not duplicated. This pattern is not duplicated. I can't take this section right here, put it on top of there, and have it almost match identically. But you saw on the prints from the crime scene, I absolutely could do that. And look here, it's the entire ball of the foot. And her toe.
I was wearing a sock.
This is the one you did with socks?
That's the one I did with socks.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah. It was a thin sock, but I still had them on.
And if you got that much detail with a sock, can you imagine with your barefoot what it would be?
Now, the thing is when I recreated these prints with my hands, with my feet, every single time they measured between 1 and 1.5 centimeters wider than my foot and wider than my fingers and my hand. So what we're seeing, let me explain why that is. When you put your pressure down.
Hold on, I'm gonna get you bigger so they can see you.
Okay. When I put pressure down on my hand or my foot, the paint was squished away from the center of each of my digits, the palm of my hand, the digits of my toes, the ball of my foot. It was pushed out. Now, that blood would have had the same exact effect. So, those footprints are actually measuring about 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters bigger than the foot or hand or whatever created them, because of how it was pressed out.
So in other words, the actual foot size would have been 7.5 centimeters to 8 centimeters. And David's foot would have been 9.5 to 10.5.
Yes, correct.
So it's way smaller than what his actual footprint would have been, his actual foot would have been.
And I really invite anyone to go out there and recreate with paint, and then measure your fingers, measure your toes, and then measure the painted ones, or the ones that you recreated, because they're going to measure better. It's all because of being pushed out as you put that pressure down to the ground, to the flat surface. It just happens. And I'm probably not explaining that correctly.
No, it makes sense. It really does.
So, and that was a interesting find near the end of this.
Yeah.
And we needed to bring that out. So the prints that you're seeing that are being measured up to David's foot, there's no way his foot could have created that. They should be bigger, because that blood would have squished out further.
And so I'm going to bring that up one more time so they can look at it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, this is the chemical that they put on there. So.
Yeah. So let's see if I can. Here we go. So in other words, the pressure applied to the wood surface from whatever left these prints, if it really truly were a foot, this would actually be larger than the foot that left this behind.
In fact, that blank area inside of the big toe right there, that is probably the size of the big toe, if that's what made that print. Because it would have all been blank, and then the outside is where the paint is because of the pressure. So, I mean, well, not paint, but the blood would have been.
Yeah.
Because of the pressure. For me, it was the paint.
Yeah. And here's where you can see it up close and personal.
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry. Trying to get it centered in the screen so we can get it bigger. Here's what you see with your naked eye. And remember, this blue was what was enhanced. This is not what is visible on the floor. This is blood. This is why I'm saying this was wiped up. This is a smear pattern. So whatever was here before was wiped up. You see it. You don't see it here. It's not on the floor, but the amino black clearly shows that there was something there before this was put down. And like she was saying, this right here, so this area right here is what you're saying is what the actual big toe is probably, if it were a foot, that this section would have been the actual size of the big toe.
And the reason why there's more blood on these middle toes is because not all the weight was on those middle toes. The weight was more on the outside of the foot, which would have been the first digit, the big digit, and then the pinky digit is where most of the weight was for the balancing.
Yeah, and I want anybody to actually see if you can balance the weight on just the outside of your feet and leave the inside of your foot undone. I don't know if you can do that. Let me look at her toes. Even with Sophia's toe, oops. Bring it back here. It's all the same. This is what you would expect to see, because when you're standing, you have equal pressure on your feet. You can't put just pressure on at the big toe and the little toe to create that pattern. As evidenced by here, you see equal pressure. Yeah. Yes, like on this one, she probably, I mean, you could argue, okay, she's leaning more on the outside of her foot than on the inside of her foot.
There's a reason for that, though.
But there's definitely a difference compared to this.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit different because I had surgery on that foot.
Uh-huh.
And so I roll my foot when I walk.
Yeah.
Because I don't put pressure completely down on my big toe.
Right. But the point being is that you had equal pressure on most of your toes. Whereas on this one, you see that there's pressure put here, and nothing in between. Your foot doesn't operate that way, folks. It just doesn't. Okay. Oops, sorry. Gotta. Oops, come on. Going the wrong way. Ah. Okay. Can you still see the slide?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, what happened with that? Oh. That's what you wanted, correct? Yes. Okay, we're going to conclusions and then this one.
Yeah. Just to look at them again. Basically, we've done everything. We're just, and then thank you for joining us tonight, and to just remember to like and subscribe down below if you continue to like these type videos. And
you know, and again, I'm going to reiterate this one more time before we close out of here. We've shown you that the prints on the floor do not match David's foot. I mean, we could have been here all night, and I could have kept adjusting, but if you got one section, one like toe or whatever to match, the rest of it does not match up. Just like with the other extra foot. I just went online and just got a random foot photo. It was just whatever, and then compared it. And it matches about as well as it does on David's foot. It doesn't match. It is not his footprint. So hopefully we got that. Just one last time, folks, and I'm sorry, but I really want this I just want this to be understood. That okay, so yeah, start sharing.
And see, when that blood right there, it should be bigger than his foot. The print should be bigger because the pressure of him stepping on the floor, if he made these, it would spread that blood out further. So the toe right there, that area would be less. They would, sorry, I'm not less, I'm sorry.
No,
that
more.
Area would show more of a void. And then the outline would be bigger than his toe.
Yeah, and this part right here should clearly match up with this section of the foot, but when we do that, when I go there and I try to bring it to that portion of the foot where it should be, I mean, you clearly see it doesn't match up with the rest of the foot. Now let me bring it back down. You know, in all fairness, let's do this. See if we can shrink it. Sorry. My system's running low on memory, so it'll do that. And let's bring it over some more, and we cannot get it to match. It just doesn't match. One more time.
And quite frankly, it measures smaller than his foot size.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. It should be bigger than his foot size, honestly.
Yeah.
Because of pressure. So, we're not saying who made these prints. We're just saying it's not possible for it to be an adult male size, especially with the measurements.
Yeah. Again, and I'm sure you guys can see that this here is the outline of David's toes, and here, right in here, is the outline of the ball of his foot, and here, which is clearly not matching up. Okay, so here we go. This should be, this, if we're going to do it, should be up here. right? But you clearly see it doesn't match. This doesn't match at all, and there's nothing I can do. I can sit here and play with this all night and stretch it and pull it, but not stretch it and pull it, but only alter the size, and it will not match. It does not match. So we get this to go over here, that goes over there. It's just all off.
And again, the big ruler in the crime scene photos is millimeters, and it says it right up there in the corners, the right angle of the ruler. And then these little white tabs that were there by the toes, those are centimeters. And so that's what they were using. They weren't even measuring a big adult foot. I don't know, like I said, I don't know whose foot this is. So.
And here we go. Here's what she's saying. This is the larger ruler. These are done in millimeters. And these little tabs here, these are done in centimeters. And when you measure it out, it doesn't fit. Like that stupid saying, I hate it so much. What? Go ahead.
Yeah. We are looking for something much smaller than 9 centimeters. Number one is measuring this big because of the chemical that they sprayed on there. And number two, the blood has been squished out from the middle of the foot and the middle of the toes. So it's going to measure a centimeter to a centimeter and a half bigger. And you can recreate this on your own. Just take some watered down finger paint and you can recreate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there. I mean, I'm not trying to do finger paint recreations, to solve the case. I'm just trying to recreate these prints, and I could not do that. I couldn't even get close. I tried hands. I tried drawing it. I tried socks. I need to try gloves next. But I can't put a glove on my foot, though. So, I mean, I've tried everything that I could think of, and I could not recreate. I couldn't even get close to what we were seeing in these photos. Like holding my hands a certain way because maybe that's what they were doing. I don't know. Maybe they were crawling and they didn't have feet on all of their hands. I tried everything I could think of, and I could not recreate it. And it was very frustrating because it looks very easy. It really does.
Well, and two, when you can clearly see, it's like a duplicate. So whatever was used to create one section was then taken to create the next part to create a foot. And when we looked at the actual photos of real bloody footprints at real crime scenes, you see what that is supposed to look like, and you compare that with what is at the Crowley house. They're not footprints. I don't know what it is, and I don't think any of us are trying to say what it was. Sure, I did one with my hand at one time, and it came up with something close, but not close enough that I could say it was an exact match, but close enough to tell you that you could create something like that. But like Sophia was said, we cannot create it identically. But I think with what she has shown you and what she's put together with the measurements, that it's pretty clear that these are not the measurements of an adult male's foot. I'll be right back. I've got to turn my light on. It's getting dark all of a sudden.
But if you have any questions or would like to know more about like the recreations or photos that we used or websites, feel free to hit us up. I have everything saved. I'll be happy to share it with you. And if you can recreate anything similar to what we're seeing at the Crowley crime scene, feel free to share it with us because I would love to know how you did it. Because at this point, I'm extremely frustrated with the whole project.
Yeah,
I'm over it actually.
Exactly. And could I have manipulated that footprint photo to fit David's foot, well, yeah, it would have, it's easy to do. You take things, you bend them, you twist them, but you can't do that. I could make it fit my foot and then say, oh, yeah, okay, it's my foot at the crime. It's insanity. You have to take what's there and try to match it with his foot, and you clearly see it doesn't match. It doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must have quit. Oh, I hated that saying. But in this case, it's really true. It doesn't fit. So, well, thank you guys for joining us. And I'm sorry I'm so repetitive and I keep repeating the same thing over, but I really think it's super important to drive these points home. Real bloody footprints don't look like that. When Sophia was making sample prints, she discovered that the print actually spreads out due to pressure applied with the liquid that was on her foot, paint, blood, whatever. She used paint. It's going to cause it to expand and to go a little bit wider. And then when you look at that size of that finished print on the floor, and it's actually, when you compare it with what David's foot size is, and you take into consideration that blood does spread when its pressure is applied onto a hard, flat surface, that foot, or whatever it was that left that marking on the floor, is an entire centimeter to a centimeter and a half smaller than David's actual foot.
Yeah.
So, and
it really should be bigger.
Yes, it should be much bigger. But thank you so much for all of your hard work on this, Sophia. I know you've worked really, really hard on this. So thank you, and it shows. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, thank you. And, if you haven't already, like at the bottom, subscribe, and you'll get notifications too. Hit that bell. And we'll
catch you next time. Yeah, and we have more coming.
Yeah, we have a lot more coming.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.